I was really challenged by how to lead well, and what does it take for a leader to lead extraordinarily well. And so I'm a thinker, I'm a processor. I have to build frameworks to help me figure out how to make sense of an idea or a thought. And as I was working with some of the teams that I was both leading, staff and volunteers, I kept wrestling with this idea of, okay, great leaders need to be relational leaders. And I found this to be very true in the church, as well as, spiritual leaders. They needed to have a sense of care for the people they're leading. They still needed strategy, which was really the way that I led very strongly in the marketplace when I was in at the record company. I led with a lot of strategy. And then leaders also need to be visionary. They need to help people know where we're going and why we're going there and why that's critical. And so I kind of had these four anchors that I felt were important for me as a leader to lead from, and as well, teaching my teams to lead with those four dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's relational leadership, it's spiritual leadership, it's strategic leadership, it's visionary leadership. And then for me, because faith is, pretty core to who I am, the grand aha for me was this moment that I went back to what they call the Great Commandment in Scripture, where Jesus is telling his followers to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And that was like, the light bulb just kind of came on, because I was like, here it is in like the core of my spiritual beliefs is these four dimensions, because the implication of that verse is Jesus is saying, why does he say those four things? He's saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength. And the implication is that's our whole being. That's all of who we are. So as a leadership junkie, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I lead well? How do I lead people in a way that motivates, inspires, is authentic, is sincere? And for me, that means leading with all of who I am. And what I found was I would often sacrifice the relational side of me because I was so driven to get the tactics or the plan done. But we all know that as soon as you start, driving that aggressively and you lose a little heart in your leadership, you start to like kind of leave people in the wake. I can lead with a lot of strategy. And frankly, that has served me well. That was the thing I got promoted on. It was the reason why, because, everybody that I'm reporting to is, happy for the things I accomplish. They're happy to see the goal accomplished, the number achieved, whatever the metric is, right? And so, but what I was finding for me in my leadership is that I just lacked this intentionality and this awareness of the people that I was leading, and how my drivenness was actually wearing them down. And, so this would happen to me a lot, both in my music business days and then in my ministry days, is I would be driving really hard to accomplish a goal and unaware of how that was taxing the team or wearing them out or making them feel like they were just cogs in a machine and not human beings with hearts and concerns and families, And so I think that's the piece, for those of us who are really strong in the strategic side, and a lot of us are because we're driven, we're driven to accomplish things. And it's the thing that has given us the opportunities that we have in the different leadership roles that we carry. And so I think it's that awareness of people and slowing down to see people. That's probably the thing I have to tell myself the most frequently, is that slow down to see people, see how you're impacting them, see what's going on with them, just slow down.